YouTube. Okay, I'm picking up where I left off. So this is video number 10. And going on to the next thing that I was shown. And I've already talked about this a lot, but I'm going to just add this, to kind of compile things together. And yeah, so the next thing I was shown after the Days of Darkness, and these don't run chronologically in order, okay, just to let you know. They're kind of like the seals in a way. Okay, so I was taken like to my driveway, and like I was shown a similitude. Hey, Yuki. She's come up. Hey, baby. You want to come up? Don't. I know. She likes sitting there. Okay, baby. I'm getting in trouble. Anyway, I was shown. Okay, I live in Oregon. And I live close to Portland in the suburbs, and I was shown that we had packed up our vehicle. I mean, like super packed it up. I don't know if it was because I was moving, because I am planning on moving, or that I was going on a camp trip, which I do a lot in the summer. But it would have been a really long camp trip because I tent it. I just love being, close to nature, and I love waking up and smelling the fresh air and not having all these electronics and doodads everywhere. Anyway, but it was really, really packed up. And we were driving along I-5 southbound. Then I was taken back to the driveway where I'll be moving to, where I suppose I am supposed to be moving to. But I think I have some options. Anyway, there was just suddenly like everything was really, really quiet. And you know how, in the late afternoon, let's say between 3 and 6, you get this feel like, evening is coming. And Kitty, I just don't want her to knock this over. She sees bugs outside. Anyway, it was just very, very quiet, and not the normal where you'd hear crickets and frogs and, other wildlife stuff. So this makes me think that I was actually moving that day. Anyway, and it was late summer, and I want to say it was like in August, because I was showing all these things, and I'm trying to give you what I was shown, but sometimes it's really hard. Anyway, and set the scene. So it was, in the later afternoon, early evening, And people had in their minds of going camping, having a nice weekend. And so I want to say it was like Friday, because they were planning on packing up too and getting out of Dodge and just enjoying the really, really, really nice weekend. Well, all of a sudden, it was like a huge jolt hit. And it was so hard that it knocked me down onto the ground. And afterwards, there were little earthquakes that followed. There was also a tsunami, a huge tsunami. It was like everything got dark. And I think it could be symbolic that this is the final straw that sets things off. Gosh. Now, as I had told you before the earthquake, there are storms after storms after storm, but there is one mother of all storms. And that hits also in the same time frame in the summer. And this storm that hits, it will be huge. It'll be very, very destructive, and it goes from the Midwest to the East Coast. And the news will be talking about it. People won't even be thinking about the Pacific Northwest earthquake. It is way overdue, but they'll be cleaning up still. So it won't be too long after. It'll be maybe 5 days after the huge storm. Then this huge earthquake hits, which is at least a 10. It's huge, people. Anyway, when the earthquake hits, it'll be one huge long, it'll just be a jolt. It will be off into the ocean, so a tsunami will come in, and it will be a huge wave. It can say, there's a lot of mountains along at least the Pacific Northwest. Not so much in Northern California or into Canada, but it's going to spread across. It's going to affect that whole entire area. And with the tsunami, there will be mudslides. And I saw darkness. As I was saying before, the darkness could be symbolic to say, hey, dark days are coming. The birth pangs have just begun. And anyway, also it could mean that it was literal, since it was, in that time frame between 3 and 6. If it's, I don't know how long it takes for tsunami to come in after a huge earthquake like that happens. Maybe it's like a couple hours. I don't know. But I do know it comes in. It devastates the coastlines. There is a mudslides. There's a lot of death, because it's the time of year when a lot of people are vacationing and people will be caught off guard in the city. Now, I was shown that I was taken up to a mount in Portland and shown. There's a lot of destruction within the city itself. So what I would say is be earthquake prepared if you live along the coastal regions on the Pacific Northwest, from north to south. And just know that it's going to happen at a time that is least expected. And it will happen after. And listen, the winters are going to get colder and colder. Now, when the storm and earthquake that the winter before that happens, it's going to be very, very cold, especially in my area, and there will be a lot of snow, which we've gotten snow, for the past 5 years or so, which we're usually pretty mild, and we haven't really gotten a lot of snow, but now it's been increasing and gotten colder. But this particular winter, it'll be very, very cold. Now, as far as the other parts of the state, if it's unusual in my area, it's going to be unusual in your area. So, look for storms because they will continue to increase and get worse. So, yeah, at this point, you just want to have things set aside in a bin where you can grab. You want warm clothes or the appropriate clothing. You want to have food. You want to keep your car gassed up if you drive, and you just want to stock up on the food at this point. We're running out of time, and I need to. It's very difficult though to. It's expensive where I live. Oregon is becoming a lot like San Francisco. So the prices are just horrible as far as housing. My little house goes for like $300,000, and it's only 1,400 square feet. It's not this huge house. The bigger houses that are around me go for 400, 500,000. That's crazy. Anyway, and rent starts out about $1,200 a month and just goes up. I mean, if you want to live in the ghetto, you're going to pay about $1,200 a month. And a lot of people, what they're doing now is getting roommates, and they'll all pay like $600 a month. So that's what I'm talking about, and little tiny space. So the economy here in Oregon is horrible. So, and anyway, it's kind of partly the reason why I'll be moving, but yeah, wants me to move and to get out of the city because of what is coming. Anyway, so what will happen before the biggest sign is a very bitter, bitter cold winter here in the Pacific Northwest. And over in your state, everybody's just going to get more of what they had and maybe a little bit more of other things. As far as the weather goes, it's going to be very unpredictable. So just be prepared. So I saw the timing as far as between 3 and 6, and everything hits. There's going to be just a lot of damage, and people will be caught off guard. Even though there have been warnings after warnings about the Pacific Northwest earthquake, that's going to be the last thing on people's minds. So if you're hearing this, mark your calendar, watch the signs. It'll be it's going to be at the end of August, probably. I can't see it going into September, but summer does go into September, so you can't take that factor out. But there's a lot of things that come with September, like school starting and things like that. Anyway, in my area, I know for like other parts of the country, it starts in August. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I would definitely say the end of August, on a Friday afternoon, and watch your weekends. So, and as far as the storm, that's just going to pop up. Like these storms that are going on now, it'll just be worse. And it will cover such a large area. It's, people are going to be scattered. Their homes destroyed. Kitty, what is she getting into? So, what I would say is be prepared, because it's only going to get worse from here on out. And time is running out. You can see the signs everywhere. And stock up on food. Be prepared. I think that's it about the storm and earthquake. And of course, I will be updating. And there is a personal sign that I was given with this bitter cold winter. It's a personal thing. If it happens, then I will definitely be updating and say, people, it's gonna happen. Prepare. So, yeah, I will. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten, and I probably have, but I will be updating, and I'll let you know. And just stay safe and heed the warnings. God has given us this. He always, always, always tells us before he acts. So you have ample time to prepare, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I'd say spiritually is the most important. Okay, because that goes both with mentally. And you just have to know that once the storm and earthquake hit, then it's basically game over. And I want you guys to know that God is not mad at us. He's mad at those people that are going against him. And he will protect you. He will provide. But what he expects out of us is to be prepared and to be spiritually set. And if we can't afford to stock up, we just do the very best we can, and the rest Yahweh will provide. Okay? But definitely prepare yourself spiritually. It's very, very, very important. And always remember that the false Christ comes first. Okay? And then the true Christ comes. So, but the storm and earthquake is just the beginning. And it sets the marker of game over. The new world order will prevail. So even with civil war and the hopes of getting our country back, we will a little bit. But ultimately, with everything that's coming, the new world order will prevail and take over the world. Okay? So, I will load this up and then I will go to the next video 11. Okay, see you soon.